Well, today we're having a special guest, Jeff Cohen, who's going to be coaching us on objection handling. I figured we're talking too much about social media. We're forgetting about our roots, talking to people, handle objections. Welcome, Jeff. I expect other
Thank you,
clients
Roman.
will be joining us shortly.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I want to introduce Jeff. He's one of our Tom Ferry coaches. His specialty is objection handling. I just watched his presentation on it. It was just phenomenal. So I wanted to bring him to this group call. Hopefully we're going to have more than one participant. But I want to turn it to you, Jeff. Start with a little bit of intro.
Yeah.
What are we going to be covering today? And by that time, more participants.
Absolutely. Well, you guys all, first of all, have a fantastic coach, Rowan. So I just want to put that out there. There you go. Lana, is that how you pronounce it?
Correct.
Perfect. Well, for now, it's going to be interactive. So Roman and Lana at the moment, definitely I want you to chime in. We'll maybe do some role play and stuff like that. So what I'm here to do, I want to share a little bit about myself, my take on being successful in real estate, what you could do differently, maybe you haven't thought about, bring some new ideas, new tactics, things like that. So of course, handling objections, want to cover that. I want to go over a few things to be selling. Differentiate you from other agents, as well as getting into the weeds with a few different things such as like tie downs, positive no, things like that. So with that being said, a little bit about myself, just because I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. It's the show me state. So we're like, why even talk to this guy? Why are you even going to give, however much time we're going to be here together? You could be doing something else. So about me, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Originally, I moved across state to Kansas City in 2011, went to college, and I did a few different corporate jobs, 2011, 2016. And in 2016, I did not like being a corporate 9-to-5 employee. And I said, how would I ever afford a Ferrari if I continue this path? So I put in my 2 weeks with no backup plan at all, no connection to real estate whatsoever, and jumped into real estate head first and made it work. So my first year, I did approximately 40 deals as a solo agent. And then I continued that path. And then upcoming years since then, grew a small team. Then from there, I really honed in onto my niche and passion, which is lead generation. And I was with a large team back last year in 2022. I was working for them as, I guess you could say, an ISA. I was setting appointments. I did about 550 outbound appointments set and about 120 inbound appointments that I set up as appointments. I'm more of a fan of outbound than inbound, weird or odd as that may sound, but that's a little bit about myself. So just to kind of get started, just so I can have an idea, because I want to go over these different topics, but before I do, I want to open it up to the group here. Are there any questions or challenges that you would like to address first regarding objection handling? If you find yourself like, hey, this seems to always be happening, or this is real common, or give me an idea of what your take is with objection handling.
Well, I can start. If no one else wanted to share, I just recorded a reel on objection. Hey, can you call me later? Jeff, what would be your take on it? And we'll compare it to the reel I'll post in a couple hours.
Perfect. So that kind of goes into the formula of how to handle objections. And I think it's a 3-step process. And the first step is always agreeing with the lead regarding the objections. So you said, hey, can you call me later? A couple of different ways you could respond. Yeah, I definitely can call you later. Like, I'm a human. I've got time later on in my day. I've got your number. I've got my cell phone. Yeah, I could call you later. Okay, I agree. However much you want to say, you could say, yeah, I definitely can do that. Or, yeah, I definitely can give you a call later on today. However in depth you want to go. But step one, you agree. Step 2 is you're going to segue and transition and redirect the conversation. So step 2 would be, let me ask you this though, real quick. So I'd say, yeah, I definitely can call you later, but let me ask you this real quick before I go. So I'm doing some type of a segue, some type of a transition to redirect the conversation where I have control, because the one that asked the questions, that's the one that's in control of the conversation. So yeah, Roman, you know what, man, I could definitely give you a call later today. Let me ask you this real quick before you go, and then I'm going to move on with my question. So wherever I am in the conversation, wherever the next step would be, that's an opportunity now where I'm going to go ahead and ask that question. And a lot of times, at the beginning of a conversation on the phone with the lead, they might give you these objections that are not, they're nothing more than just an objection. You get past it because they don't know who you are. They're kind of feeling out, I don't know if this person is really the real deal or not. So that's, how I handle those objections is with that simple formula. So if you were to say, hey, you know what, Jeff, interest rates are really high. Yeah, you know what, they definitely are. Look where they were last year, 2 point something, 3.0, now about 6.5. Totally agree, interest rates are high. But let me ask you this. If you knew financially speaking, set aside the interest rates where they are, but if you knew financially speaking, you could sell your house and get a really good price. You could make that move into the dream condo that you just mentioned you want to be in, and it was something you could afford comfortably. Would you want to know how you could do that? Would you be open to knowing what the steps are in order to make that happen? So I'm agreeing with the high interest rates. I'm doing a segue transition, and then I'm asking the next question that I want to ask. So it's that formula. So what do you think of that, Roman?
Yeah, that's perfectly to the book. that's how it's supposed to be. No, nothing else to add.
When you go down that objection of, I could call you later. What works? When would you want me to call you later? Well, I don't know. Hey, I gotta run. Just give me a call later, and they hang up. Then you're kind of like, well, when should I call them? If they don't pick up, do we leave a voicemail? Do I text them? Do I call them twice in a row? And then it goes all over the place. So, when you handle the objection, interest rates are high. Here's another thing to share. In my philosophy is, leads, they're very emotional. And you try to bat a lead with logic and statistics, you could lose them. So example, if Roman, you're like, hey, Jeff, we find that interest rates are so high. And then I say, yeah, interest rates are high, but historically they're not high. The data says X, Y, Z, look where they were X years ago. And I start, and also, real estate's a great investment. It's your house is going to appreciate. You're going to have a lot of equity. It's a great time to buy. Well, if you take a step back and you look at it from a bigger picture, if I were to tell somebody around 2005, real estate's a great investment, you're going to make money when you sell this house, and that person had some event where they had to sell the house in 2006, 2007, when the housing crisis happened, well, that's not true for them. You could say they're the exception, but they're not going to be happy. But I don't want to go after the general. I don't want to talk in generalities. I want to talk about your specific situation. If somebody, their frame of reference is, I've always been used to 3% interest rates. I don't care what they were in the 1970s and 80s. What I care about is what I'm used to, and I'm used to what they were over the last 5 years. So I think they're high. I think they doubled. They went from 3 to 6. So by me combating that with logic by saying historically, well, I don't care about historically. I care about right now and what I think. So that's it. So when you take away the logic to combat something like that and you put in more emotion, you can really get further in the conversation and have a better conversation as well, more intelligent. So that's another thing that I would maybe challenge you, not necessarily you, Roman, but I challenge myself, challenge everybody, that when you're having a conversation with the lead, Instead of combating and proving your point with logic, how could you combat and prove it with emotions? Here's a way you could do that. So if it is ultimately about the high interest rates, where you could say, well, let me ask you this: how happy are you being a renter right now? Well, I'm not happy. And how important is it your dream, your goal to become a homeowner? Well, it's really important. Okay, well, obviously we're having this conversation now because it is pretty important to you. So set aside, disregard, forget about, however you want to say, the interest rates and where they're at. If you could fulfill that dream, that goal of you becoming a homeowner within the next 3 short months, would you be open to at least just discovering with me if that can happen? And knowing for sure that you have an answer, so you don't have to go to bed and wonder in your head, could I buy a house or not? I mean, I don't know. You can totally have a clear answer as to that. And you know what? If we found out the answer is no, you can't do it now, worst case scenario, you and I come up with a custom tailored plan of what would have to happen and what it would look like for when the time is right. We could make it happen. Would you be upset if we did that? Well, no. Would that be a big problem if we did that? No, it wouldn't be a big problem. Okay, cool. So now I can continue with my next steps of how I want to work. Okay, well, great. Well, here's what I do with most people is you and I would find a time when we'll meet, and I'll go over the steps and answer your questions, and we're gonna rest assured I'm gonna forward pace here. We're gonna have a fantastic meeting. By the end of it, you're either gonna know exactly here's the next steps to make this dream, this goal that you told me, Roman, of becoming a homeowner actually happen and become reality. We're gonna have those steps and we're gonna execute on it, or we're gonna find out, you know what, unfortunately, it may not be the best time, but we're gonna know exactly what a better time would look like and what we could do to prepare for that. So when the time is right, you're way ahead of the curve and you're already going to be in the best position you can be to make things happen as soon as possible when it makes sense. So by me, I mean, as far as forward pacing, I know you're familiar with that, Roman. I think it's underrated on these phone calls. You want to share people how great this appointment's going to be, how beneficial, what you're going to learn, how you're going to feel. You're going to feel, rest assured, you're going to be so much happier when we get done knowing A or B.
Sure, great. That's awesome.
So before I kind of move on with a few other things, what are some questions, Lana, Nathan, Daniel, I see you there here on Zoom. What are some questions that you have?
Hey, you guys prospect a lot. You must have questions.
Let's just, Nathan, come off mute. Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of expired leads. Like, what are, I mean, I know some of the challenges that I've had, but I can't think of anything like right off the top of my head. Like, I want to ask you, like, which challenge has been the most challenging for you with expired leads?
It broke up a little bit. What's been the most,
So like, which objection has been the most challenging for you with expired leads?
I don't know if there's one that's the most challenging. I don't give weight because if you follow the formula, it makes it easier to get through these objections. If they said, well, why didn't you show it when it was on the market? Hey, that's a great question. It was obviously marketed before with the last agent, but let me ask you this, and I'm going to move on with my question with whatever's in the script. Or if you said, if it expired, what are you going to do differently than my last agent? Hey, great question. I'm happy you asked. What I'm going to do, it's so much. And instead of me just rattling it off here on the phone, when I stop by, I'm going to share with you. And that's actually going to be the first thing I do when we meet. So as far as finding a day and time that works best, are you generally a 9 to 5 worker, or do you typically have different hours throughout the work week? Like, I'm not going to address the objection and isolate it there on the phone. I'm going to try to acknowledge and then segue and redirect to where I want to go next with the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the other thing with expireds is like I get a lot of like, yeah, we're just taking it off the market, and then I don't necessarily know where to go with that. Like sometimes I ask them like, hey, is this your forever home? Like, are you planning on just staying here the rest of your life? You know, that kind of thing. And then kind of dig deeper there.
Yeah, so I always think about it. Hey Nathan, if you were to have sold your house 2 months ago when you're on the market, where would you be moving to next? You can role play with me.
Yeah, I was thinking about moving down to Florida.
Awesome, down to Florida. What's important to you about moving down to Florida? Friends, family, just like the sunny weather?
Yeah, just the weather. It's really nice there.
Right on. I gotcha. Anything else other than the weather?
I mean, we're snowbirds right now, so we kind of just leave our house, you know, just vacant for like a portion of the year, and you know, we like it better in Florida, so that's where we thought we were going to move.
Yes, maybe financially speaking, it'd make more sense to actually own a house down here as opposed to maybe renting. Also build some equity in the meantime. I could totally understand why it would make sense, you know, selling that house, calling Florida more of a permanent residence, if you would. I mean, you tell me, Nathan, I mean, with how the market is right now, if you could still get a really good price for your house there in Minnesota, and you could find a house down here in Florida that made total sense. I mean, I'm talking about a house you'd be happy to call home. Would you still be open to making that dream, that goal, a reality right now?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like we couldn't get the house sold the first time, so you know, we probably won't get it sold the next time.
Yeah, you know what? This market can be a little bit challenging, and that is a true fear. I mean, that definitely can happen. You're not the only person that's happened to. But if there was a way, it is that you know, you could absolutely increase the chance of the house being sold for a price that you'd be happy to sign on the dotted line for. Would you at least be open to seeing what that could look like, and then you can decide if this actually would make sense or not? A different approach.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would make sense.
You know, if there's nothing to sign, there's no obligation. You know, I'm not, Nathan, I'm not in the business of wasting your time. I'm definitely not in the business of wasting my time. You know, if I didn't think I had something worthwhile to share with you that actually could really get you the results to get you down to Florida to call it home, then I wouldn't even want to spend my time meeting with you to share something with you. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. So as far as me stopping by, because I've got a few appointments later this week and over the weekend, what would you say works best, weekdays or weekends for you?
Probably the weekend.
Weekend, okay. And as far as the weekend goes, morning, afternoon, or evening, what works best?
I really like late morning.
Late morning, okay. So on Saturday, I've got time at 10:30, or would Sunday at 11 be a little bit better for you?
Sunday at 11 works.
Sunday at 11. Okay, awesome. So here's what I'm going to do, Nathan. I'm going to go ahead and send you an email with my information just so you have it on hand. I called you my cell phone, so feel free to call or text this number. And then what I'll do is day in advance, so Saturday, I'll just give you a quick call or friendly text, just a reminder about me stopping by Sunday at 11. If anything comes up in the meantime, feel free to let me know. But I'm excited because, like I said, if I didn't think I had something worthwhile to share with you, you know, I wouldn't. I'm not here to waste my time, not here to waste your time. So I'm really excited, and I'll see you Sunday at 11. Sound good?
Sounds good. Just
Okay.
close me.
One thing what?
Just close me.
What do I get for doing that? No, I mean, this is not something that you know, happened overnight for me. I've been in real estate since 2016, and the majority of those homes that I sold my first year, you know, it's all through this guy right here, the phone. So it's a mixture of straight pure cold calling, FSBOs, canceled, expireds, you name it. And then it's been the progression of studying from other, you know, real estate coaches, agents, other professions. I sold insurance over the phone for a brief period, reading books, like really diving deep into the, I guess you call it, art of conversation, you know, closing not in a negative meaning, stuff like that. But how did let's kind of debrief that a little bit. So tell me, how did that conversation feel, and from your perspective as the expired?
It felt kind of like play. I didn't feel hard salesy at all, because it seems like you have something of value.
Right. And you have absolutely no idea what I'm even going to share with you. Right. Yeah. I didn't say that I take 25 HD pictures and I do an open house every weekend till it sells. And, I've got a drone, and, and then Joe calls you after I call you and he says, well, I take 26 HD pictures and I have 2 drones and I have open houses every Saturday and Sunday. And then it's, well, why the heck would I even meet with Jeff? This sounds so much better. So on the phone, you're selling the appointment. In person, you're selling the listing.
Okay.
So all I want to do on the phone is sell the appointment and not get into the weeds. Hey, what do you charge for a commission? Whatever you and I agree on, that's going to be one of the first things we talk about when we meet. But let me go ahead and ask you this, Nathan, because you mentioned, moving to Florida. Now tell me again, what's so important about Florida? See, I'm just going right as fast as can be. Yeah. I'm not stalling. I'm not my commission. Like, I'm not giving any thought. I'm just going right over it.
Yeah. Yeah. That comes with role playing.
Yeah, I like how you're taking step after step after step in that class.
Yeah, it's like a 1-2 punch.
Yeah. I got my boxing gloves up. So there's a few different phrases that you can use with these conversations. If you're like, well, hey, I don't really know about us meeting. I'm really busy. Hey, totally get it. I'm busy as well. I've got a lot going on, believe it or not. Yeah, so sometimes I like to be a little sarcastic with these people. It's just who I am. But of course, you got to mirror and match them on the phone. But you know what? Let me ask you this, and I'm going to say something that's like a no-brainer, and I'm going to end with, would you be upset? It's ending on a positive note. So to learn more about a positive no, you can look up Chris Voss. He has a book, Never Split the Difference. It's fantastic. So if I were to say, well, hey, Nathan, let me ask you this. What would be the harm if, you and I met, I shared with you what I can do, what my company can do to get you so much closer to Florida and actually having this dream that you have become a reality. And by the end of me sharing this with you, you'd have all the information to decide if this plan actually could make sense and would be something of interest. And if it doesn't, no harm, no foul, but at least you are still keeping this goal and dream alive, and it actually really could be possible. And again, I'm not here to waste my time or your time. Would you be upset if you found out, Tuesday after I met, this actually could happen? This was, working with the wrong agent previously.
Yeah.
Would you be upset that we met?
No, I probably wouldn't be upset.
Exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, I really like that format. Live role play more than the lecture. Maybe someone else wants to role play with Jeff. That's pretty awesome.
I got my gloves on, so let's go.
I want.
Tatiana, go ahead.
I'll be the owner of the home.
Okay. So give me a situation.
I think the situation that I want to get the answer to is like when the person doesn't mind maybe paying the commission to the buyer's agent, but he does not want to let anybody come into the property without the buyer. So like this whole idea, well, let me preview the property so I could know what's going on in the market, so I could see the inventory, blah, 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 didn't fly, right, in this specific situation. So basically the scenario I had, he's like, well, I know what you people all gonna do. All of you want to just come and parade through my home. Supposedly all of you are saying that all of you have buyers, but I know you just want to come in, you just want to talk to me, you just want to sell me your stuff. That's basically the real scenario that I kind of came across.
So that's
like, he's like,
okay.
if you have a buyer, come in.
Yeah, so there's a few different things that come to mind. So first and foremost, not every seller is a seller, not every buyer is a buyer. You want to come from abundance, and you know, you want to work with nice people that, you know, you would enjoy, not just anybody. So keeping that in mind, because depending on that person, maybe they really are kind of a stubborn person, if you may be wasting your time, even if they let you in. So keeping that in mind. But in a situation like that, well, I only want you to come if you have a buyer. Hey, I totally understand and I can appreciate that. You know, it's one thing to see a house, you know, online with pictures. It's another to be in the house and actually see the unique things that pictures don't show. What do I mean? Well, it's hard sometimes to really understand that the back bedroom has that perfect view from where the bed is, etc., things like that. And you know what? You can't even know if the house has a smell or not. So there's things that unfortunately pictures just can't do it justice. And you know what? I'm not going to waste my time if I didn't think that, you know, I do a lot of marketing. I have clients that could be a fit. I work with a brokerage that has agents, and it was just a waste of time. You know, I'm not going to want to show up anyway. So would you be totally against if I just stop by when it's convenient for you? I spend 15 minutes, and you know, if you're like, Jeff, you just wasted my time, would you have any problem kicking me out of your house?
Yeah, but
You're
I
going to
still
say
want
no.
a buyer. Why can't you come with a buyer right away? So you could preview and do just that
Yeah,
right away.
yeah, because the way that I work is I like to view home, give 5-star level of service to all my clients, where I let them all know, here are the homes that I've actually been in, and I think it could be a good fit for you. I mean, if I have multiple buyers and I don't know, I haven't seen the house in person, again, one thing to see it online, another to see it, you know, in real life. But if I see it in person, then I can report back to multiple buyers and let them know. I mean, would you want me to schedule a buyer on Tuesday at 3 o'clock to come by, and then later on Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and then, you know, Thursday? Or would you rather just have one time one person comes through and actually takes note and sees the property and reports back in mass to their current clients as well as other agents at a very high level? Would that be more efficient, or do you have like a lot of time on your hands where, you know, people tromping through, that's okay with you? I didn't think you'd prefer that.
No, I like that. I like that. So let me, that probably could get it sold. And I kind of had something like that in mind. I just didn't have a good way to frame it up at the point of time when we had the conversation. So let me ask you this, like when you would show up, so you would just tour it, ask questions, whatever. And what would you say at the time of appointment? You said, okay, well, let me report it to a few buyers that I think might find it matching with what they are looking for, and I'll get back with you. Or how would you wrap it up at the time of appointment with him or her?
Is this a for sale by owner appointment?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'd say, hey, you know what? I appreciate you taking time to let me build your house. It's a beautiful home. I'll definitely share it with my current clients and other agents in the office. Let me ask you this though, just out of curiosity. If, you know, you mentioned your goal is to move from Florida to Kansas City. If for some strange reason, you know, things just aren't going the way that you planned, maybe you know you're not getting a lot of offers, you're not happy with the offers, whatever the case may be, or your plans move up sooner. Have you given any thought of what another option might be to get the house sold?
Well, I've sold 2 homes in the past by myself, and I didn't have any issues. So I'm sure the market is pretty
Yeah,
strong right
absolutely. You know, the
now.
market is really strong right now, and I don't think you'll have any issues selling it. I'm just curious though, if for some odd reason, you know, there's some fluke and things don't go as planned, have you given any thought to what other options may look like to get your house sold so you could be closer to Kansas City, where you mentioned is, and home of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, I might give it like a few weeks, and if I don't sell it by myself, maybe I'll contemplate getting a real estate agent by that time. But you know, I don't think it'll get to that point. But we'll see.
Yeah, and again, you know, you said a couple of weeks, so I think that's a smart idea. You know, I'm always a proponent of having a backup plan in place in case it's ever needed. And I know about 2 weeks from now would be about 14 days. So what if we did this, Tatiana, and I don't mind, what if we go ahead, you know, today is the 15th, so tentatively, if I come back, I don't know, say, you know, the 16th, again, weekday afternoon, 3 o'clock. And if you haven't sold the house, you rest assured, at least I'll be coming back by and I'll share with you a plan that I think would actually get you the results you're looking for. And if you have success, you are able to sell it on your own, whether that's me finding a buyer or somebody else that comes along, then we don't need that appointment. And all you have to do is send me a text message saying, Jeff, let's cancel. How hard would it be for you to send me a text saying, I don't need the appointment anymore?
I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, that's cool.
So share what you like about it so others
I
can kind of understand if they're not picking up.
I like the fact that you gave me a way out of the scenario, right? You sort of like, I already started kind of backpedaling in my mind, like how can I get away and like not to be committed and all of that kind of stuff. And you just gave me the way out by telling me, all you have to do is send me a text saying I don't need the appointment anymore. So that's what kind of like kept me like right away, like, okay. So I and it kind of gave me permission to sort of escape. So I think that's what gave me an ease about this whole thing.
Absolutely. So there's a guy named Alex Hormozy that is kind of big now on the internet. He's in sales. He's all about offers. And it's about how can you make like a no-brainer offer. So my offer to you was, I'm going to come by. I'm going to share with you something that I think could help you. And if you change your mind for whatever reason, all that you have to do is just very simple. I laid out the instructions. It's just send me a text message. So instead of me saying, would it be okay if I come by in 2 weeks and I'll share with you a plan that might work for your favor? And you say, well, I really don't know. And then I said, well, what if we just put it on the calendar? Would that be okay for you? Like if I was to dissect and break up the different pieces of that, that's where you can get lost. But the way that I did it is I explained it all, but I didn't pause and stop to get your commitment. I got the commitment at the very end. So like I'm packaging this whole thing up and I'm ending on a very simple response that's going to be like a no-brainer offer. So by me saying, well, why don't we do this? How about I come back by? You mentioned 14 days. So how about 16 days? Even better. If you don't have the results you're looking for, rest assured, you know that I'll be coming by with a plan that should, in my opinion, help you get closer to your goal of Kansas City. And if for some reason you do have the awesome success, and I'm rooting for you, then the house is sold. And we don't need to have that appointment. But if you don't, at least I'm coming by. And if you do get it sold, how challenging would it be for you just to send me a quick text that says, hey, Jeff, got the house sold? Would that be that difficult for you to do?
Not at all.
No. So that's something that I do very often when with these types of situations. You have to really give some time and think about it. So like if a for sale buyer, you might think that I only want you to come by if you bring a buyer. You could call out before they bring it up. You could squash that objection before it even is brought up in the conversation. So by doing that, I'd say, what I'd like to do is find a time when I can come by, just take a look at the house. It's one thing to see pictures online. It's another when you're there in real life. You can actually see the true craftsmanship. You can see the unique views there in person, the things that you really love. And then I can hear from you, your point of view as you show me throughout the house. Jeff, we bought this house because we really thought that we would use this room this way. And it's been so awesome. And, also, not saying your house smells, but there's things like that. You can't pick up if there's smoke or something, by looking at pictures, and I'm sure you'd understand. So what would work best if I stop by? Are you generally 9 to 5 or you have different throughout the week?
Gotcha. So at this point, person would have.
So you could see how you feel a little weird or foolish, but just come by. Could you just just look at the pictures? Well, I already explained to you why that wouldn't work.
No, I like the way you explained it. I've heard some other way that people say, well, just look at the pictures. I have plenty of them. And then some other one, like another way that people throw like, oh, good. Well, do you have a floor plan? Because sometimes like my buyers might need a specific floor plan, a specific layout. So it's hard to tell what kind of floor plan it is and things like that. And like, do you have a floor plan? Most of the time they'll say, oh, no, I don't. And it's sort of kind of, in a way, got it, yeah.
Exactly. So I appreciate you coming off mute and asking your question and role playing with me there, Tatiana.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I had a closing. I had to stop by the title company, right? What that was the floor plan. So I appreciate you.
That's all good.
Thank you.
Awesome. So who else? Who else has something we could role play, or just a question, or a pure objection, or a situation that I can, share my thoughts on?
I guess we touched this subject already, but a lot of sellers right now saying who want to downsize, they say we don't want to sell because we cannot find a right house.
Okay. Trying to think about this. So would this be, the situation is, well, I mean, like, Lana, give me more like a situation. Like, did this happen to you on the phone with a cold lead, or give me a little bit more context?
So no, let's say it's not just a stranger, it's warm lead, and they saying we don't want to sell. So let's say they live in like 5,000 square feet home and they look in one level living, and we don't have enough inventory, so they would like to downsize, but they feel comfortable still to live in their house, and they say, okay, we will wait another year, we don't want to sell this year.
Okay.
And mostly they're gonna be like a cash buyers if they sell, but they're not sure that they may found like one level living for them.
Sure. So I guess first and foremost is seeing, are they a true seller? If there's someone that isn't, then you'll be spinning your wheels and you'll feel good that maybe you've got a seller to check mark over here on your seller people, but that's just good for your ego. Not saying you specifically want to just. So if you set that aside and you say, okay, are they a real seller? Would they really be open to this? So some of the things I'd say is like, okay, yeah, you know what? I totally get that you could wait a year from now and you can make this happen then. But let me ask you this. How would you feel if by waiting a year from now, you found out that your house value went down and you couldn't afford the type of house that you think that you could afford today? Would you be upset?
Yes, I will be upset, but market looks very strong, and we don't think that it will fall down.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And let me ask you this. For the people that thought the market was pretty strong in 2019, what did they think going into 2020 with the pandemic? It was a lot stronger than what most people probably anticipated. Would you agree?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. So again, and I don't mean to make it political or bring that up. There's other events you can think of. Let me back up and say, okay, so the people in 2006, when the market was going, that was the highest it was. Did a lot of those people totally think, oh, it's going to crash in 07? There's no way I'd be buying. No, I mean, those people probably continue to think that, yeah, 2007 is just going to expand and keep going higher. But look what happened. Unfortunately, didn't. So to avoid that from even happening, I mean, what the market is right now and today. Whether you could afford it or not, it's another question. If you can, then you're in a position, where sell your house into what you ultimately want right now. Are you one to risk that? And we'll just see what happens next year, given the fact that you could find out that, one, your home value goes down. Two, if you're paying cash and that cash is an investment, is there a chance that that cash could go down? Okay, and three, what happens if your favorite house, which is probably a favorite house or neighborhood amongst others, what happens if prices go up because of supply and demand? I'm not saying it would, but could you imagine, because I'm sure you have nice taste and I'm sure others do as well, but your favorite neighborhood, maybe something happens where less and less of those are selling next year versus this year, and the demand actually increases. So now you could be priced out of that house. Your cash that's investing could potentially go down. the house that you're in, if you do choose to sell it, could potentially go down. Are you willing to risk all three, or are you willing to take a step today to see if, well, could I actually make this happen a lot sooner, as in the next few months? You tell me.
It's a good one. I agree to take a step today.
Okay, perfect. Well, you're gonna
Thank
call the
you.
best real estate
It's very
agent in
helpful.
Minnesota, Lana.
A quick tip on this one, since we're talking about that topic, real quick strategy. You come back to the seller and say, hey, give me 3 things that why you like your house. And they're like, it's big, it's updated, it's this. So it's big, it's updated, has brand new kitchen. So give me 3 things why you want to move. Oh, it's too big, too much work. It's this, I want to change the neighborhood. Well, how is these 3 negative things affecting your life? Imagine if we would remove the size of the house and we move to a smaller home. If you would move from suburbs to the downtown, how that would make you feel? Oh, I would feel great. So why wouldn't we start focusing on what's going to make you feel great and find you the house within your criteria?
Yeah, it's all finding that dream that they have, and painting that vivid picture and sharing how you could be making that dream come true by working with you. Whether it happens today or it happens in 6 months, you're the guy or gal to be in their life to make that happen. So what I'm sure a little bit more I will, but before I do, any questions, thoughts, comments so far with anything at all that we've gone over today from anyone?
I have one more question. So
Yeah.
why I need to choose you? It's like 20 agents. I know like minimum around, and why I need to choose you? Why you better than others?
You know, Alana, I don't know if I am. I may or may not be the right agent for you. Let me ask you this. What's important for you in the agent that you would choose to hire for selling your house?
I'm a very busy person, so I want to save my time and I want to get the amount of money that I plan. Let's say 500, not less.
Okay, so you mentioned as far as the agent that would be perfect for you with helping to sell your house, it's someone that can do it efficiently with good communication because you're busy, it sounds like, and someone that can get you the most amount of money. Is anything else, or is those the 2 main things that would, you know, be the green flags to say, well, that's the agent I want?
Yeah, I think this is the most important to me.
Okay, perfect. So as far as you know, time, because you're busy, what would be perfect in a perfect world? What would that agent be doing that would make you feel like, wow, this is really efficient and it's not taking up a lot of my time? How often would they be communicating with you?
I will be fine if you will send me some updates every 2 days in the evening. And yeah, and I need to understand where we're going because I have no idea how to sell the house.
So you said communicating every 2 days with an update?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, the beauty of working with me is that I have a communication policy where if I don't execute on it, you can fire me the very next. So imagine you agree that I'm going to communicate with you every 2 days, and I skip that day for some reason, I don't communicate with you. The very next day, you could send me an email or give me a call saying, hey, Jeff, you missed it. You didn't do what you said. You can go ahead and fire me. Would you feel comfortable? Does that seem fair to you?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. And as far as making getting the most amount of money for the house, ultimately that's going to be the market that's going to determine that. You get to decide if that, amount makes sense or not. But my job is to get your house in the best possible position on the market to get as many offers as possible. And that's something that I can go very deep into the weeds with. But I know obviously you found me online, you saw my reviews and things like that. It's what I specialize in. So if you want, I can go further into that, or if you just want to, be like most other people and say, well, I know you're the professional, you do your job. We can go from there, but you tell me.
Okay, let's meet. I like you.
Okay. So what's your takeaway? Because I feel like I do a different spin than a lot of agents with how I do have conversations and things like that.
Oh, it was very good, because when I say you like why I need to choose you, why you like the best agent, and you surprised me that you say I'm not the best agent. I did not say that. Maybe I'm not the best agent for you. So you make a step back, and actually it's impressed.
So part of that is from Phil Jones, who's in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, by saying, I don't know if I am the right agent or not. So I approach, you kind of approach it with skepticism. So again, it goes back to the thinking, not every seller is a seller, not every buyer is a buyer. When you think about that, it could just kind of open up some more of these questions like, well, I don't know. It depends. Are you wanting an agent to call you every 2 days, or are you okay twice a week, every Monday and Friday? Are you looking for a discount agent? Are you looking for a full service, full retail price agent? There's a lot of different agents out there that practice in different ways. Are you wanting an auction? How familiar are you with and there's something Phil Jones says, it's more my style, how familiar are you with the different ways you can sell a house here in 2023? I'm engaging you, I'm letting you participate. I'm not saying, okay, and here's what I do. This is the one and only way to do things. I've had proof. I've got all the 5 stars. That's good enough. Let's go ahead and sign the contract. Leave it to me. I know what I'm doing. That's, in my opinion, that's pretty common, and it's been practiced, that style, for a long time. But you take a different approach and you're strategic about it. I think different results, and you're going to stand out from everybody else.
Perfect.
Yeah, and you see what Jeff just did. He asked Lana a question, what's the value, what she values in a real estate agent, and then he repeated that back to her, stating that he will be doing the call every other day. He will do, if that would be like marketing and like recording a video, then he will be pitching with marketing. So instead of proving why he's so great, he asked the question, what's important for you in the agent to represent you? That's awesome.
And then what I did from their moment is, Lana, when you said, I want to be communicated every 2 days, and then I said, I can do that, and I did it with an offer. I made you an offer that was a no-brainer. And I said, hey, great, because I have a communication policy in my business that I will communicate with you on the days that you and I agree to. Then you can fire me the very next day. You're not going to owe anything. You're not going to pay anything. I'm not in the business of losing money. That's not a profitable way to operate a business. So I'm confident I can execute on that. But would that be fair to you?
Yeah.
Like, how would you be upset with that? So who else is going to be like saying that to you? Other agents you're competing against might not even be asking what's important to you in an agent. They have this agenda of, I'm going to hit this point and this point and this point and this point. And if I hit all those points, that makes me think I'm doing a good job. And the problem is you. So I was talking with a coaching client the other day, and it's a little bit of like what I just said, but it's, we can have a listing presentation where we think that we need to start here and we need to cover A, B, C, D, E. And if we cover all those points, then we get an A+ on our presentation. But it doesn't matter if we get an A+ on the presentation. It's if the lead feels like this is an A+ presentation. And how do you do that? You talk about what's important to them. You get on their wavelength, on their level. So if I'm super excited to talk about my marketing plan, that lead may not have much interest in what I do marketing wise. So it doesn't make sense for me to continue talking about, I'm so excited to share with you my marketing plan. Jeff, we don't care. We know 98, whatever % home sell on MLS. So do whatever you want, but we're just more curious about your communication and what the process is like. And then if I don't talk about my marketing plan, I feel like, oh my gosh, I failed. I didn't really get to talk about my cool drone and my pictures and all this. That's not the way to be thinking about it. It's to be finding out what is important, what is the lead value, and then how can I have a really good conversation with that lead about that, and how can I turn that into an offer where they'd say, wow, that's impressive. You not only are you addressing my concern about communication, but you have a really cool offer that if I'm not happy, it gets put back on you, Jeff, the agent. You acknowledge fault as opposed to, you know, anybody else. Like that stands out.
So true.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we all got the chance. Ksenia was off camera, so Ksenia, do you want to participate, or you're just observing? You're still muted, Ksenia.
Okay, sorry. I was just observing. Thank you so much for sharing, Jeff. I have a question for you. Do you feel like when you call expires, the price ranges matters? Like somebody you calling like million plus or $500,000, is anyone like easier to deal with, or what is your target kind of a price range when you call expires? So you don't have it, you just see expires and you call on them.
So that's a great question, and I apologize. How do you pronounce your name?
Ksenia. K7.
Ksenia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pleasure speaking with you, Ksenia. So when I got into real estate in 2016, I would just straight cold call leads, and I'd have no idea whatsoever what the house would look like. Like I didn't do any of this data digging that's so available for us today. And like, oh, there's a high turnover in that neighborhood. I really want to go after that. I just had a phone number and a name, and I would just dial and dial and dial throughout the day. And when I came across an opportunity that I thought may not make the most sense for me, you know what I did? I set the appointment, and then I figured out, okay, I just set an appointment for a land listing. I'm not interested in land. Or if I was, I'd say, well, I don't want to go myself. That's not practicing real estate right. So I would find another agent to go with me, and I would either do a referral or they'd come with me, and I would still make something out of that opportunity. So if you happen to call, I don't say that there's, you know, this price range is better than this price range necessarily. It's how you look at it. How resourceful and skilled are you to find a solution for that person's real estate need, whether it's you or not you. And of course, you can do that at a high level. You've got everybody here on Zoom. You've got the whole Tom Ferry ecosystem to look for an agent. You've got people in your own brokerage or, you know, your local real estate association that if you call them up and said, hey, I just set an appointment for an expired in a neighborhood that I don't really work. I don't, would you have any interest in going with me or just going yourself, and we work out a referral deal?
Mm-hmm. And what service do you use to find the information, like the email and phone number? You coming from Taxes, Remind, like which company?
Yeah, again, great question. So personally, here in Kansas City, Missouri, Vulcan 7 tended to have the best quality data that was most consistent with, reliability and things like that, who it really was. But I can't say that that is perfect for you in your market. I think it's something where a lot of these different data service providers, RedX, LandVoice, Espresso Agent, Vulcan 7, Mojo, that's a handful of them. If you call them up and said, hey, look, I'm interested in your service, but I just want to make sure it's the real deal. Would you have any problem just giving me, a week or two for free and I try it out? Like I'm all about just doing stuff cold. So if you don't see something like that advertised on their website, then I would call them up and say, look, I'm committed to, a contract of, 12 months or whatever. But before I sign something, could I just try it and see it myself? Like I want to sell myself on your service. Would you have a problem if I just had access for a week? And then you could kind of test and compare it between a few different service providers. I like Remind. I get Remind for free here in my market. So, if it's free, then I'll try that out for sure.
Can you just repeat Mojo, RedX, Remind, and was Land something?
Yeah, so I know Roman has this and he probably even knows more, but Mojo, LandVoice, I said Vulcan 7, Espresso Agent, and I can't think of the last one I said. But there's a couple of them.
Okay, that's enough. Yeah, I will be quite busy with those. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, great group call session today. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us. We had a lot to learn from you. I like that interactive style. So if you all want to continue with this interaction, you can all join our group call, practice call on Mondays. We usually run these calls at 8 o'clock. We're role playing. And what else? Oh, last thing, I'm going to post a reel today on the different approach of how to handle that objection. Tell me what you think. All right, Jeff, including you.
I just want to thank all of you and your time. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to get back. This is truly what I love doing. So at any time in the future, I'm happy to come back on. I myself am going to have some different things, and I'm going to make sure I let Roman know to invite all of you to attend throughout the year. If you do have any objections, I mean, you already got a pro right in front of you right here, Coach Roman. But if you have any questions or anything, reach out to Roman, let me know. Happy to help in any way that I can to see you guys succeed as well, just so you know.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And do you have an Instagram, of course, right? Jeff Cohen, this is how you find you on Instagram?
Yeah, you know what, real quick, if I change my background, I can put it up here real quick. Let me
I was able
see
to
if I have it.
putting your name in. I know it says something real estate or something like that afterwards, but
Yeah, you know what, it's Jeff Cohen KC Real Estate. So it's the letter K is in King, C is in Cat. Jeff Cohen, COHN KC Real Estate, and you can find me on there. I give tips a little bit. I'm not a social media expert like Roman. His stuff was A+. Like his stuff looks good. I'm just kind of here in my room. Hey, I'll just make it real quick and do it. You know what? I think social media is good, but this is something that I say to my clients. You know, ultimately, how you sell homes, and it's what Tom Ferry said. It's so simple. It's two things. It's one, having conversations and setting appointments. And you know, yes, social media, you could sell homes, but there's a difference of, I'm going to go call these 50 people. That's in my control, and I can have results from that. If I make the absolute best social media video, I can't control how many views that's going to get and what those results are going to be. So just something to think about. Can't go wrong having a conversation that you're in control of.
Totally true.
Perfect.
All right,
Okay.
well, I'll wrap this call up. Thank you all for participating. Thank you, Jeff, for being our guest. It was a pleasure. Have a great weekend.
thank
Thank you.
you. Have a good one.